Good evening. We are learning today that the Liberty Counsel, which is associated with the, I apologize for the dog in the background there. Hopefully that will subside in a moment. The Liberty Counsel, which is associated with Liberty University, it is a evangelical Christian nonprofit in the United States, has been hacked. They apparently 25 gigabytes of donor records for the last 7 years has been released. The hacker, who identifies as a member of Anonymous, released it on a hacktivist site. It was a collective called the Distributed Denial of Secrets, and they are providing it for any journalist who requests access to the data. The hacker says, quote, noticing a worrying trend of far-right and anti-abortion activists aligning themselves with the evangelical Christian movement, hiding their fundraising sources behind laws that allow church ministries to keep their donations secret, we decided to bring about some much-needed radical transparency. Now, this organization is designated a hate group by the Liberty Counsel. The Liberty Counsel has cited a number of positions that we're going to get into, I think, in a few minutes that they've taken that we'll get into it. The Liberty Counsel itself has, states as their mission, quote, the purpose of this ministry is to preserve religious liberty and to help create and maintain a society in which everyone will have the opportunity to discover the truth that will give true freedom. They are listed as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They give pro bono legal counsel to many religious cases. However, while they do say that they are, quote, dedicated to advancing religious freedom, the sanctity of life, and the family, they are decidedly right-wing and really a very conservative Christian organization. They don't, that I can tell, have any interest in religious freedom. They have interest in Christian rule. We're going to get into that in a moment. This is important for any number of reasons. It's actually a very influential organization. They were the ones behind the defense of Davis. She was Rowan County clerk who was fired for refusing to follow the law and to grant gay marriage license certificates in Rowan County. They defended her. They were very noticeably mentioned in one of their briefs, was cited in the latest Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. Famously, you may have heard of them if you don't remember them. We covered when one of their representatives was caught in a hot mic incident saying that they routinely prayed with members of the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, honestly, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't really matter what religion the members of the U.S. Supreme Court hold, so long as their religious beliefs stay on one side and the U.S. government is run on the other. All of the Founding Fathers believed in this. We've discussed what they've actually said and claimed in regards to religious freedom. Yes, there were certainly elements of protecting religion from the government, but they were more concerned with protecting the government from religion. Thomas Jefferson, Paine, a number of others were very clear on why you had to keep religion out of government. At any rate, the Liberty Counsel has been very influential. We're going to discuss a couple of the other things that they've done. This data hack at first, or this data breach at first, seems a little more than gossip trash. Who has been donating to the Liberty Counsel? But it appears that there's more included in these records. Included in them is a number of references to emails that were sent out in support of Donald Trump. One reference to a possible overthrow of the U.S. government. We will get into that. That ties with their current leader, or is he CEO? I don't know what his official, Matthew. No, that's the founder. I've got to figure out who's the current, but he has apparently advocated for a religious overthrow of the U.S. government. We're going to be discussing that in a minute. Is it Matthew Staver, I think is the name? But there's a lot of information. We do have a lot coming in. We're trying to sort it as quickly as possible. Join us on the Discord, and you'll be able to see this as we get into it. But if this was just simply a list of donors, who cares? Well, no, let me rephrase that. I care, right? I mean, I care who's donating, but the reality is they have a right to have that information secret, and I don't really care or want to know. I would respect the privacy of donors to this group as much as I would expect what I donate to remain private. Having said that, there's a number of problems with what this information seems to contain. So let's get into it. It was so Staver, yes, called for a new revolutionary war. Specifically over his concerns on equal marriage rights. They also filed suit against Obamacare. They failed in that, but once when Obamacare was they were one of the first ones to make the initial challenge to that. They challenged New York's Equality Amendment and gay marriage. They lost in that, but they were this driving force behind challenging that in New York, and a few others that we'll get into. Like I said, there's a lot of information, so I apologize that things are a little all over the place, and I will check in on the live chat. But the other biggie is that they are a nonprofit organization, which means they are prohibited from campaigning or endorsing any candidate. They're not allowed to endorse any candidate. They're not allowed to campaign for any candidate. This information seems to indicate that they repeatedly violated that, campaigning for Trump in many ways, both direct and indirect. As a nonprofit, they are barred from doing that, and in particular because of their designation as a hate group, which appears, in my view, to be well justified. This is obviously of considerable public concern. They don't have to actually file a public tax return because of their status. So let's get into what is being claimed. This is from The Intercept. We have the link to this article also on the Discord if you want to go in and look at it. And we're going to be breaking it down. We're going to talk to some lawyers to see more about what it says. But our initial assessment of this is that they've had about 44,000 donors since 2015, which is how far back the data goes. They quite clearly supported Trump and other candidates that were in the Trump camp. They supported Huckabee. It appears that they were behind a good deal of misinformation and partisan polarization over the COVID-19 pandemic. They released a number of emails. We'll get into that in just a minute, that were suggesting that COVID-19 vaccines were not safe. They now all of this would be we'll get into that. Apparently also another 425 gigabytes of data from what they say here is dozens of other Christian organizations that use the same management software has also been hacked and released. But this would appear to be stand by one. All right. So Matt Staver, he is the founder and current chair of Liberty Counsel, said that he went to law school to further the pro-life cause. Their amicus brief in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health, which is what overturned Roe v. Wade, was cited as having dubious scholarship and was cited in the final decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. I think actually just 2 hours ago, they filed another brief. They had filed previously the Freedom of Access, against the Freedom of Access to Clinics Act, which prohibits the protesting of abortions, or I should say actually healthcare service clinics which provide abortions or any kind of family counseling. You can protest them. You cannot block or impede entrance to them. They filed against that, and they have now just filed, I think 2 hours ago, another one. Let's see if I can actually find that. I think I had that a second ago. They have filed an opening brief to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals against an ordinance that created a buffer zone around a facility in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So they filed that 3 hours ago. That's sort of their usual fare. Again, they filed on behalf of Kim Davis when she was fired for refusing to give the marriage certificates when she was a Rowan County clerk. So let's go back again. I apologize. I know I'm a little all over the place here. We're going to get into the Southern Poverty Law Center's objections to them in a minute, but let's get into what we have right now that in this data breach. Let's see. They also have the Liberty Counsel has also been involved in other right-wing causes. The day after January 6th, so on January 7th, 2021, they sent an email to supporters saying, quote, "Our research and legal staff have been deeply engaged in stopping the steal of our 2020 election." This email was later published as a blog post and stressed that Trump could remain in power if God intervened. Quote, "We know God can intervene and turn what looks like a hopeless cause into a miraculous victory." During the pandemic, they successfully forced Louisiana State University School of Dentistry to abandon vaccine mandates based on religious grounds, and are currently suing the U.S. government over its vaccine mandate for the U.S. military. Now, churches and other 501c3 organizations are allowed to take stands on issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, gun control, and so on and so forth. They are, however, blocked from engaging in political campaigns or campaign activity and from endorsing particular candidates, quote, because the IRS has not been, sorry, that's a different quote. Okay, so they cannot campaign, they cannot endorse candidates. In this data breach has been found communications in which they and, Christians in Defense of Israel encouraged their supporters to vote for Trump during the 2020 election. Quote, "Today could be a turning point in the history of America. In this great country, we have the freedom to vote. A great responsibility rests on our shoulders. Our decision will determine who will nominate judges and so much more." They went on an offensive against then-candidate Joe Biden and referenced Biden laptops and said, quote, "American dollars were being used to bribe foreign nationals to protect his son's behavior." All of this is highly illegal for a nonprofit to be doing. Let's see. 2 weeks before Election Day, Christians in Defense of Israel, which is one of the groups associated with the Liberty Counsel, apparently said, quote, Israeli Jews support President Trump because they know under a Trump administration, America has Israel's back, and peace in the Middle East is on the near horizon, but only if Donald Trump wins. As a U.S. citizen, our vote in this election will greatly affect Israel's future, according to their ambassador, and warned that the Holy Land is counting on you to choose the presidential candidate who will support Israel and complete the work of achieving peace in the Middle East. None of these groups are permitted to do any campaigning on in that level. What was also found was emails from government officials. The emails are on the supporter list, government officials. Again, in my view, if you are a government official, you should be able to support anybody you want to. If you want to support the ACLU, you can. If you want to support the NRA, you can and should be able to. I'm thrilled that I live in a country where people can do that, and I don't think that becoming a public employee should bar you from doing that. Having said that, this is a hate group, and this is a group that appears at this point to be violating the law in regards to their influence over political elections and political candidates, and that's an extraordinarily serious problem for obvious reasons. Again, I know we made some stink about the suggestion, but the problem was it was an offhanded comment on a hot mic about, oh, we're praying with, we're actually having prayer sessions with members of the U.S. Supreme Court, and it's like, that's for this group, that's a bit of a problem considering what they advocate for. And we're going to get into their views a bit more in a minute. All right. So according to this that I'm reading right now, this is the from the Intercept. The Intercept is saying, quote, while Liberty Counsel is best known for legal battles over abortion and LGBTQ rights, the hack data shows more than 1.6 million in donations resulting from petition and fax campaigns built around dubious claims about the pandemic and election integrity. These campaigns from the Liberty Counsel and its 501c4 affiliate, the Liberty Counsel Action, drew in more than 15,000 unique donors. They oppose the vaccine mandate. Okay. So they warned of quote a giant pharmaceutical company's partnership with officials, and that deadly COVID-19 vaccine reactions were being swept under the rug. This is something we've covered before. Yes, there are people who have deadly reactions to any and all vaccines. The vaccines were deemed safe. The process for them being deemed safe was transparent. But it's a great way to, it's a wedge issue, and it's a great way to, they're out to get us, we're not going to get, I don't want to get too much into all of this. I'm going to say right off the bat, for those of you who have been following in time, we joked about some of President Trump's claims, which are false about the 2020 election. We were on a stream joking about them. We were mocking them. That stream got flagged for having repeated the claims, because the claims are, in fact, misinformation. And YouTube is coming down on misinformation, which we applaud and I think is good. I think social media has a responsibility there. We were struck for that. We won on appeal. They looked at it and said, yeah, obviously we were not profiting that information. And I'd like to make crystal clear for everybody watching us, we are repeating the claims that are being made. That I can tell virtually every one of these claims is false. But we have an obligation to inform our viewers of what the claims are, and you can't do that without saying the claims. But obviously this is, and we've covered so much of this already. I think at some point we're going to have to cover more of this. Some of this is such hogwash at this point. It's like, I dear Lord. Anyways, the Liberty Counsel on their emailing list when saying false claims about the COVID vaccine, after signing, quote, freedom-loving patriots, the people who received this were invited to make a donation once again. So stand by. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to get into that. That's wow. We're going to have a lawyer go over this, because I think there's a lot of nuance here. This is still, I don't know how far any mainstream media news sources are with this. This is the Intercept. Like I said, it looks to me like this is legit data. It typically, when data gets released this way, it tends to be legit, but we don't have confirmation on any of this. My working assumption is that this is legit, and I'd be extraordinarily surprised if it wasn't. So, but so far the mainstream media is not on this. I suspect they will be reasonably soon. I think they're going to be tepid with this until somebody comes down and figures out just how much trouble these people can be in. Email addresses associated with state and local governments also were on the donor list. This includes Republican Terry Rice. He's the Arkansas State. He is an Arkansas State Senator. He was asked for comment. He is He's been an election denier. He was asked for comment, and he said, "I don't know what business it is of yours," which is true unless the organization is violating the law, which it appears like they are, and quite routinely. So what do we know about the Liberty Counsel? As I said before, they are a designated hate group. The Southern Poverty Law Center has designated them such. Now, we have gone over a few of the legal cases that they filed. They are closely affiliated with Liberty University, which was founded by the late Jerry Falwell. A few of the things that the Liberty Counsel has said and have had on their website at one point or another, quote, homosexual conduct can result in significant damage to those who involved with okay. Either that was really poorly worded or my reading is gonna need a second. Can result in significant damage to those involved who engage in such conduct. Okay, no, it's just very poorly written. There's no evidence that a person is born homosexual. There is evidence that people can change. Our culture is being pressured with demands with demands that our homes welcome, our daycares embrace, our schools indoctrinate, our businesses promote, and our laws reward this harmful sexual behavior. That was Liberty Resource Council. Liberty Counsel Resources on the Family, 2015. Let's see. They attack. I'm not gonna. It's worth repeating some of this so that you have some idea of how toxic they are, but I'm hesitant to get too much. I'm gonna do this one, and then oh dear Lord, this just gets more and more toxic. If you really want to check it out, go to the Southern Poverty Law Center. They get into what this group has been saying. This is just a quote directly from the group, so make up your own mind. But a quote: "If you ultimately promoted same-sex marriage, and everyone started to go towards same-sex marriage, what would happen to society? It would simply cease to exist." Goes on more and more. It's utterly ludicrous bullshit. All right, so they are. It's basically it is a far right-wing conservative group. I think I'd mentioned earlier too that they had been advocating for, or the founder had written an article suggesting that there be a revolution. Let me see if I can find that article. I'm moving some of these sources around here. I don't want to take up people's too much time as we are. Okay, so let's see. That was Davis. We already covered. We covered the Supreme Court. They are a strong defender of conversion therapy and strongly against the Affordable Care Act. I guess Jesus would not approve. Let's see. I'm going to hit the live chat in just a minute. Now, why is... Okay. I wanted to find more on... Oh, you know what? I think I can find it. There you go. Miller versus Davis, Freedom from Religion Foundation, Gavin Newsom. They've been busy, and again, you know what? I thank God that our country is not. If our country was the way these people wanted it, organizations that disagree with me, if I were them, would not be permitted to do these kinds of things. I think that perfectly I'm a liberal. My ideas are good enough that they can withstand scrutiny and they can withstand challenges from organizations like this. So bring it the fuck on. That's fine. I operate within the law, so should they. And they can't. What it looks like they've been doing here, they can't do. And they're, by the way, all that notwithstanding, it sounds like an absolutely terrible organization. I'd like to get, before I check the live chat, I would like to get into the arguments that their founder had made. He had written a document suggesting why there should be a religious overthrow of the U.S., and I can't find it now. There is a difference between him, the person, making that claim, and the company or the organization making that claim. But since he founded the organization, and since he is currently the head of the organization, I think it is very important to realize what he is arguing for and what he appears to believe. I can't find it, so rather than keep looking for it, I'm going to go check the live chat, and we'll see what's going on. So, and again, listen, this isn't even hit mainstream news yet, but the organization is toxic enough that we decided we're gonna go with it. So, let's see. Oh, and actually, I'm going to check one more quick thing before we go there. Like I said, we're going to be covering this. We've got a show tonight, Commander McMillan. Downtime tonight. We're going to be just hanging and chatting with him. Those are always great shows, so I hope you'll check us out. But let's see. Now, why did... oh, that's because... Yeah, so... Yep, that was Dorito. Dorito brought us this one. This was... Yeah, so this was Dorito. He dropped it in the news section, and we escalated it because I think this is big. So let's see what else they're saying. First of all, hi from the U.S. About to be a Christian caliphate, I guess. Pat, good to see you. Thank you for coming by. Always good to see you. Let's see. Discovering Ancient History with Pat Lowinger. This is a rather important development for those exposing those organizations which are promoting a theocratic state here in the United States. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. This is, and we have to be a little careful. We don't have to be too careful because it's like, but we have to listen. I really am. I'm fine with organizations. I'm not fine with it. Let me rephrase it. I don't like organizations like this, but I'm fine with the fact that they exist because I'm aware there are people who don't like me and my views, and I'm allowed to exist. So because of my values, which include allowing people to have utterly disgusting, abhorrent, and obviously patently absurd ideas, allowing them to have those ideas and to be able to speak freely on those ideas is important to me, as is my ability to call them out for it. But there you go. But they cannot now. And I think we probably need an overhaul in the systems in the U.S. which allow, We have a problem with the separation of church and state in this country as it is already. It's not adhered to as well as it should be. The elephant in the room that nobody's really said is that Alito wants to end abortion in this country. That's what he wants to do. Between the leak of the decision that Alito had done, so the leak that we had covered, between his position on that, his dissent in the gay marriage case, and Thomas's concurrent opinion, which he was just like, oh, listen, guys, we're not being extreme enough. They are interested in turning this into they're Christian nationalists, I suspect, and they know they can't say that. They know they can't say that their religious beliefs tell them that a life begins at conception and that you can't abort that life. So because they can't say that that's their religious belief and that that's what's driving them, they are putting up all of these arguments that are undoing 50 years of the recognition of rights which are recognized by basically every other industrialized nation. And I'm aware they don't think we're going backwards because they're Christian nationalists, but we are going backwards. And that's pretty much objectively true. All right, let's see. Stream it on the server. Yeah, we can actually stream directly to Discord. We don't usually do that. It may not be a bad idea. $2 Sinister Porpoise. I didn't do it, but I wish I did. Yeah. That was a nice one by Doritos. So, Titan, it's true. I chose to become a homosexual for the free toaster oven. Get a free toaster? If I'd known that, out of dear Lord, I mean, it's a choice, right? I mean, I'd do it for the toaster, of course. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm caught up. So there you go. Like I said, we've got a show tonight, and we're going to start prepping for it reasonably soon. Come check us out on the Discord. You can figure out from there what's going on. The other thing, and I'll just point this out, we have been... well, we get demonetized basically almost every show. We talk about adult topics. We're not ashamed to talk about them. And we talk about them as adults. So, I'm grateful that we can do what we do. We have shown live events, and that has resulted in a great deal of violence that has on occasion gone out over our air. And YouTube allows us to do that. So I'm very thankful for that, because I think that's the only way to report these things. And when you're talking about war, sometimes you're going to have to see unpleasant things. Otherwise, we're not being honest about what a war really looks like. And it's a lot easier to send other people's kids to go die in a war if you don't actually see what it looks like. So very thankful that we've been able to do that. We do, on occasion, get hit with community guideline strikes. So far, we've been able to reverse most of them. The most recent one was, I think, clearly an error, which YouTube was... in 3 hours, they had that fixed and we're up. But if you go to our Discord, we do have backup streams available, and you'll be made aware of those if and when something like that happens again. It honestly isn't going to surprise me if this stream gets taken down. I'm sorry, I abhor what these guys are saying, but having said that, the only way that you can know they're saying it is if we tell you that that's what they're saying. I don't think you have to watch the show for any length of time to realize that the opinion of absolutely everybody who has ever worked on In Time from beginning to end is that all of these people are full of utter horseshit. But we're going to talk about it. So thank you all for joining us. And we'll, like I said, I don't think we're going to do any more breaking news. If they've got them on what it looks like they've got them on, which is a number of tax-exempt violations, they could lose their tax-exempt status. Any number of other things could end up happening to them. I'd be a little surprised if there was not other data out there. They're making this available to journalists right now. We're going to be hearing more at a minimum. And like I said, I'm not, the gossip of, some senator donated to them. You know what? People I like donated to the ACLU. People, there's all sorts of, institutions that are controversial for one reason or another. I don't care who donated. I care what they have done with that money and whether or not they've been using their tax-exempt status to unduly influence the government, especially in a way that is irrefutably against the Constitution. I know because I've read it, and you don't need to go past the First Amendment to know. It was important enough they put it in the First Amendment. And, no, I'm not going to go into it. At any rate, we'll figure it out. Thank you all for joining us, and we will... let me just check one other thing. Nope, can't do that. All right, and like I said, we'll see you guys in about 2 hours for Commander McMillan. Thank you all for joining us. Again, check us out on the Discord. You can be apprised if we have any other strikes, and we appreciate the support, again, because we get demonetized almost all the time, and so your support is very helpful. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you later tonight.